What's up, Pokemon fans? It's your boy Dashing here to bring you the power rankings for the low tier draft. Now, this is going to be my first time doing power rankings for a low tier meta. I've done like four power rankings for typical OU metas. That's also available on my channel. You can just search like Dashing Kevs on YouTube. Shameless plug there, but it is what it is. So, without further ado, let's check out our first player. We have Evo here. Now, you can see on the right side of the table there, I have like metrics here. So I'll just explain the metrics here so you guys have a better understanding. So we have bulk, our first metric. This is corresponding with like the typical bulk of the mon, like how bulky is it in general. This takes into account like stats, typing, and whatnot. So the team itself, how bulky is the team in general. This could also take into account if the mon has natural recovery. You know, like if the mon has like regenerator or stuff like that. Ways to heal itself and how reliable are those. So the next one is hazards and removal. So how much hazards do you have? So normally the way I rank this is I give like 1 point per hazard, but for the third one just like 0.5. So that goes for like removal as well. So like if a mon has so for you to get the 5 points there, you need three mons that set hazards and 3 mons with removal capability. So in his case, he has 3 because he has Turtonator for like removal, a rocker here, and Whimsicott gets defog. So that's like 3. So next one we have pivot here. So pivot just represents the number of mons that get pivot. So if you look at his team, Type Null gets pivot as well as Whimsicott. Now I placed 0.5 here because Kadabra gets teleport, but it's so unrealistic to use that, you know, are you really gonna use like a negative priority move on Kadabra? Like, not really, you know, unless you're a gangster. Evo could be a gangster. I'm not. He could be one of those. But yeah. Next one we have setup and sweep. So this responds to the team's ability to set up a mon and sweep. So like how potent is the sweep? How reliable is it to get like KOs, and how the potential of it getting stopped. Like, is it easy to stop or not? So we give 7.5 here. So the potential sweepers, of course, Type Null. You have Arctozol with the Slush Rush. You got potential Shell Smash Turtonator. Life Orb Kadabra does hella damage too. Scrafty, DD Scrafty. So those aren't really that reliable, but the quantity of them makes it so that it's like 7.5. If there was like one less, we could like deduct points on that. Speed tiers, basically what I did with this one is I based it on like a base 100 stat. So mons that have like base 100 and up gets like a point for speed tier. So in this case, we have Kadabra and Whimsicott, as well as I think it's just those two. But I guess I placed 3 here just because, you know, it's very realistic that the Arctozol is gonna get the boost from the Slush Rush. So it's understandable to give it 3 in that case. I doubt he's gonna bring Arctozol without Vanillux, right? But yeah, it could happen, but I doubt it. Team synergy. So just like the team itself, how well can it work together? Which is pretty good. you could like set up rocks with Rooney, and then pivot out to type null, you know, U-turn here and there. Use your bulky ones to like, you know, Jellicent to like spread damage, Will-O-Wisp, stuff like that, set screens with Vanillux. So a lot of potential there. One thing I've learned about Evo, he does tend to build very very team synergy mons. So they kind of always work well together in that case. I tend to like not do that, do the opposite. Like, it's crazy. I kind of play the game on hard mode. I tend to build or, you know, draft mons that don't really synergize with itself or with each other, but you know, we just get the win anyway, so it's all good. Next one is wall breaking. So like, how much potential damage can the mon output in a turn? If you notice, some of the stats here are 5 points maximum and some are 10. This is because I feel like those are more important in the grand scheme of things, especially in a meta without maxing. Setup and sweep is so much more important than ever. This is also the metric I use to like do the power rankings in my league, the TPL. So when it comes to wall breaking, if you look at the team, Arctozol, you know, once it has its speed, or even without the speed, if you run like a banded Arctozol, the Bolt Beak does a shit ton of damage. You also have like Specs Kadabra is a potential bring, Specs Vanillux, you know. So those mons are enough to like get you a 7.5 for that. So that's going to be a total of 42.5. A well-drafted team, I would say. So yeah, let's check out the next player. The next one, we have Wendell. Now, about this team, it was actually drafted by Seownei, you know, Seownei the God. But he ended up leaving the league, and Wendell took over. Now, I already made like the score for this one before the trades. You know, he made like some trades here, as you can see. But I'm not gonna talk about that. This is actually why I hate doing like team building for leagues that, or power rankings for leagues that allow pre-round 1 trades. Because, you know, it kind of messes up the power rankings, you know. Like, what's the point of talking about it if the team already changed, right? But anyway, we give it a bulk of 8.5. That's actually because, you know, if you look at the mons, Aromatisse, really bulky. Vikavolt, Serena. Both mons weak to fire, but you have Caracosta there, which is 4 times resist fire. Sylvalis Steel, you know, covers that the, what do you call this? A fairy resist. You have Vullaby there. Covers like the ground, like a ground immunity, and the defogger as well. Gabite for your dragon type. Gabite is kinda could work. I'm a bit skeptical about that, but you know, I haven't played this format, so we're gonna see if that, you know, puts in work. We have Ninetales from the original Ninetales, Cantonian Ninetales. So yeah, in the initial draft, I only had like 1 for speed tier, and I guess that's the Ninetales in this case, because it doesn't look like he traded that. So yeah, so 8.5 for bulk. We have 4.5 for hazards removal. I think that's what's good about this team. The way it works with its hazard control. You have like Serena with a rapid spin. Serena is actually appears to be one of the best mons in this format, if you ask me. Like, if you have like expert belt or life orb after a rapid spin, the coverage this mon gets is kind of crazy. Like ice, fighting, and grass. That kind of hits mostly everything. It gets knocked off as well for those, you know, pesky ghost types. So yeah, and Vikavolt, right? Very bulky mon, gets webs. Aromatisse can set up Trick Room. You could set up Trick Room for Caracosta, I guess. Or the Executor. Stuff like that. Vikavolt, yeah. He has a lot of pivot, right? 4 months. That's gonna be the Vullaby, Silvally Steel, Serena, Vikavolt. Has a lot of recovery. I think that's what really contributes to the bulk of the team. The amount of recovery it gets, right? Serena and Vikavolt has reliable recovery. Same with Executor. Aromatisse can like pass Wish around. Vullaby gets its own recovery as well. Same with the Ninetales. And I think that's what really... there's actually some good synergy there because, you know, once Ninetales sets up the sun, Serena's synthesis gets a shit ton more HP. It could be a double-edged sword if they have like fire coverage, right? But you can see some potential there. Setup and sweep. So yeah, you know, Vikavolt gets like agility. It's a very underrated set. And like I said, Serena alone, even without like bulk up or what, once it gets like a rapid spin, it could really threaten mons. Like not many mons are gonna live a super effective move with a boosting item after hazards against this mon. And it also gets knocked off, which is really good for this format. You know, everyone's running Eviolite here and there. So yeah. What else? Synergy is okay-ish. Like I said, when it comes to like Firemon seems to be the weakness of this team, right? And as good as Caracosta is, Firemons tend to learn Solar Beam. So you could bring like a heat set and, you know, predict the Caracosta switch. KO it with Solar Beam, and then all of a sudden the team is so vulnerable. Like, what's gonna resist it? The Gabite. But what if it doesn't bring the Gabite? Then you're kinda screwed, you know. I guess Executor with what do you call that? What the ability? I forgot. I forgot the ability. The one that speeds it up during sun, right? Damn, I can't remember. Alright, but you know what I'm saying. Wall breaking, it does have a lot of wall breaking potential, you know. Specs, Vikavolt, Banded Serena. That's mostly it. But the fact that it gets really good coverage is enough to just justify that. Like a Specs Thunder Vikavolt can just, you know, ruin teams. Alright, so that's gonna be his team. I would have loved to talk about like the new mons, but I'm kinda tired of doing all these rankings, to be honest. So we'll go to our next player. It's gonna be Chris. I thought this was Chris Pug, but it was actually a different Chris. So, you know, let's check out his team. So his team is actually pretty bulky as well. We gave it an 8 for bulk. As you can see, Regirock, Metang, you know, that thing's hella bulky with Eviolite. Weezing. Weezing is one of those mons that's so hard to break on the physical side, and it gets like, what do you call that move? The one that it splits the HP, right? Pain Split. So it gets even bulkier, or it gets even more annoying to deal with. Lantern. So Lantern's actually really good for this team because it covers the water weakness. Like if you look at the team, right, it's very vulnerable to water. Water hits the Reggie, the Flareon, even the Metang doesn't want to take a Scald. Wheezing, very low Spidef, right? Gallade has a high Spidef, but it doesn't want to risk burns. So Lantern is a very good pick, in my opinion, for Chris. A very heads-up play drafting that mon. Golbat. Golbat is actually one of the best mons in when it comes to, like, I would say, NFEs. It gets a lot of benefits from Eviolite. It's bulkier than Crobat at that point. And you can chip ones down with like Super Fang and stuff, Toxic. So, you know, your wall breakers have an easier time finishing them off. And then we have Eevee. I'm not really sure why he drafted Eevee. I think he could possibly trade that for something else. I looked at the drafting pool after the draft was made, and I saw so many good ones that, you know, people are not seeing, and I was like, wow, people are drafting this, but they could have had this, you know, like, you live and learn, right? So yeah, I put like 3.5 for hazards. I'm not really sure why I put a 0.5 there. Oh yeah, because that's how it's he has like 3 rockers, or 3 types of hazards actually. He has like T-spikes and 2 rockers, and then 1 defogger. He has a lot of pivot, which is really important. When it comes to teams like this that's more defensive in nature, you tend to want to play like the stall game, have them, you know, force them to switch, take rocks damage, takes, you know, poison damage if they don't have like a poison, a grounded poison type, and then just wear them down there. Because a lot of mons, or a lot of teams I saw, didn't really have a lot of natural recovery or teammates that can support recovery. So that's gonna be like the strategy of this team: just wear teams down with hazards, make reads with coverage move, pivot with like Volt turn, stuff like that. Setup and sweep. You're not really gonna set up and sweep, so we just give it 5. The potential is really, really low. Like, your potential sweepers are like an SD Sceptile, I guess. But yeah, I think when I made this, I think at this point, he still had Raichu and Frostlass. So yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about because the team kind of changed. But you kind of get the idea. Synergy is 7.5. It kind of works well. Good pivot, good hazard control. You know, like standard stuff. The typings like cover each other's weaknesses and all that. Wall breaking, not really amazing. Your wall breaker is basically, let's see, you could say like a banded Regirock, and then what do you call this? Like a banded Gallade, banded Flareon, stuff like that. That's gonna be like your best wall breakers, which is, you know, on the physical side, nothing really on the special side from what it looks like. So yeah, it's gonna be 40 out of 60 for Chris. I suggest trading Eevee. Check the tier list or the draft pool. There's definitely some good options there, better options than Eevee. So yeah. Our next player is Omar. So I got to play Omar in the last Goons League, so I have an idea on, you know, how this player plays. Interesting team. It's probably the least bulky team of the whole league. I think I didn't give anyone bulk as low as 6.5. Because if you look at the team, right, Charizard, pretty frail, right? Quillfish, frail on the SPDF side. Espeon, can't take a U-turn, basically. Torkoal's bulky, yeah, so that's one. Leafeon, bulky on the physical side, if I'm not mistaken. Luxray is somewhat bulky, but it's really slow, so it's gonna take hits. Sableye is kinda good. I think Sableye is a really good pick here. I'm not sure how much that mon cost. I didn't really check. But it doesn't really help too much because if you look at it, the team is pretty weak on the SPDF side, right? And the appeal of Sableye is, spread willows. So if they're hitting you from special, you don't really care if you get burned. And, you have Onyx there with Ditto. Now, if you look at the scores I gave here, so we give 4.5 for hazard control, excellent hazard control. I didn't even consider the potential magic bounce of Espeon, so those are kind of unreliable things, right? You're not gonna switch Espeon on, if you make a hard read and you get it wrong, you kind of die. Because yeah, most rockers are like physical attackers, and Espeon doesn't want to take physical hits. We have one pivot mon here, which is the Luxray, Volt Switch. Recovery and support. Actually, I think I didn't talk about this one. Recovery and support pertains to the mon's ability to like recover health and support the teammates by like status recovery. So moves like Wish, Aromatherapy, Heal Bell, Recover, stuff like that. That's where that comes in. So despite having a decent amount of recovery, right? Charizard gets Roost, Espeon gets Heal Bell, as well as Morning Sun, can pass Wish as well. Leafeon, same thing. Sableye gets Recover. So despite all that recovery, the mons itself aren't bulky enough where it can take a hit and receive the wish. Basically, that's how it works. So it doesn't really help the bulk too much or too reliably. Now, for speed tiers, we actually have 3 mons, so that's going to be Charizard, the Espeon, and the Sableye. Because Sableye gets Prankster, so it's more or less gonna outspeed everything. Team synergy is decent. It's probably one of the most hyper offense teams we've seen. If you look at the setup and sweep, we actually gave a 7 considering the only reliable mon they have. They actually have 2, Leafeon and Charizard. But Leafeon is like whatever, right? Very poor coverage moves. So a good portion of the score there is just Charizard. Just having solar power in the sun, dude, as well as the wall breaking. Because if you look at having what's that item? Let's say like a life orb. It's really gonna chip away at your HP a lot, but if you have like a life orb plus solar power, no one's gonna be switching to, hurricanes. Well, not hurricanes, but air slashes or flamethrowers, No one's gonna be switching into that. They're gonna get destroyed. So yeah, he gets a score of 41, but I do put an asterisk there just because of Ditto, right? Ditto is so unpredictable. Its potential influence in a match could be, game winning or game losing, right? So it's one of those things that it's hard to quantify. Someone sets up a sweeper, Dito comes in, and now you get to sweep. You know, something like that. If anything, it's a nightmare for people to face in team building. They're kind of deterred from running sets that have, you know, like a setup mon in that case. So yeah, that's gonna be Omar. Next one, we have Jeff here. So Jeff, I believe this is Jeff Bridges. Check out his team. So the team is quite bulky. We give him an 8 for bulk. So that's mostly from, you know, possible Eviolite Thwackey, Coparaja, Eviolite Fracture, Avalug, Gigalith. So the team itself is more physical defensive, right? So it's kind of vulnerable on the special side, but he does have mons that can work around that. You know, Thwackey gets like banded, Grassy Glides can do a shit ton of damage. Inteleon has like potential to like just wall break. So if we look at the other scores here, 3 for hazard removal. So yeah, we have like Gigalith, Avalug, and Copa. Very interesting. His only way of removing hazards is like a rapid spin. I do advocate for rapid spin, but the thing is, if they have like a ghost type there, it's gonna be tough. And if you look at his team, he doesn't have a grounded poison type. So that means if you set up like T-Spikes, he's kinda screwed, right? He's kinda screwed. Like you could, even if you brought like Boots Avalug, you can just switch in like a ghost type there, and you know, you're not getting rid of those hazards. So it is what it is. These not much recovery and support. So I think the only thing he has there is like Wish Raichu, and I forgot the other one. There was something else. There there. Maybe another one gets Heal Bell. I don't remember, but it's definitely 2. Setup and sweep, we actually give 7.5 because it is somewhat reliable. If Inteleon gets like a focus energy with the scope lens, with sniper, that's gonna like open holes on anything, right? Unless you're like a water type with like a bulky water, right? But even then, it gets like dark balls. So it's not a guarantee that you're gonna be able to wall that. Thwackey as well can go banded glide or SD. Avalug can run like what do you call that move? Iron Defense Body Press. So that could sweep as well if he doesn't have like special attackers anymore. So there's you know, there's some potential there. Team synergy, we give it a 7. The team kind of works well, right? The fact that Thwackey is there forces players to not run EQ. They're probably gonna run Stomping Tantrum, which is, you know, just base 75. And if they run like high horsepower, they have to risk like the miss chance, which is really small, but you know, it still matters. It can still like change the tide of games. So when it comes to like the speed tiers, we do have 3 here, so that's gonna be, we give 1 for Thwackey just because, you know, priority glide, it's reliable. Inteleon, and then Raichu. So those are gonna be his designated speed tiers. Team synergy, yeah, works well. I think I said that already. We have wall breaking here. So for wall breaking, his best options are like, you know, banded, wood hammer, Specs Hydro Pump Inteleon, banded heavy slam or iron head from Copa. Stuff like those really hit hard. So yeah, we do give 7.5 for that, because those are no joke. We could have given it more if Thwacky's attack wasn't like grass type, because grass is such a bad offensive typing. Like, a lot of stuff resists that anyway. And if you're running like band, then you're not running Eviolite, so you lose a lot of bulk that way. You probably, if they survive the wood hammer with the recoil plus the attack they're gonna revenge you with, you're probably gonna get KO'd afterwards. But yeah, solid team in general. I'm not sure why he has Vulpix though. Like, what is the idea having Vulpix here? I don't understand this. Maybe he's gonna trade that out, or it's just memeing. Alright, our next guy is Arik the GOAT. So, if you look at the team, we give 7.5 for bulk. The team is generally bulky, but we just give 7.5 because it's very reliant on Eviolite. You have an Eviolite mon here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 Eviolite mons. Now, in general, in a typical OU draft, I would advocate for 1 Eviolite mon. 2 is acceptable. In a low tier draft, I would advocate for 2. 3 is acceptable. So 4 is too much. 4 is too much for me, especially in a draft like this where you have 9 mons instead of the typical 10. That's like almost half your mons are Eviolite mons, right? So it looks good on paper, like this could potentially be an 8, but the fact that after they get knocked off, it's significantly less bulky. Hazard control 5, definitely. Corsola gets rocks, Girder gets defog, Dredagon gets rocks, Clefairy gets rocks, Colossal gets spin, Silvally gets defog. We have pivot here. We have 3 mons. That's gonna be your Silvally, Clefairy with teleport, and then Mesprit U-turn. For recovery and support, we have 4.5. That's gonna be Wish. What do you call this? Wish and Heal Bell, Clefairy. We have what else was there? Oh, we have the regen of Tangela, so we kind of give extra points for, aside from having synthesis, he does have regen as well, so you get more out of that. And I think Mesprit gets like, what do you call that move where it dies? Healing Wish. So Healing Wish is one of those special support moves, because it basically heals your mon and gets you a free pivot, right? So there's that. Setup and sweep, not great. The team itself is defensive in nature. Its potential setup mons, I would say, Mesprit and I don't know, Silvally Water. You can like, but he doesn't really get any physical water moves, so you're kind of losing out on that. So, but yeah, we give 6 because I guess Clefairy can like CM, CN and what's that move? I know it has a moves to buff its like defense, like Iron Defense or something like that. So it could run like a mono attacking set that can be hard to break. So it's somewhat reliable there. For speed tier, we just give 0.5 here. Let's try to see why did we do that. Oh yeah, so the 0.5 is just Mach Punch from Girder. So low damage, but it is stab, so it counts for something, right? Team synergy 6.5. So the team itself could work well, but once stuff gets knocked off, it kind of falls apart. In my opinion, it really falls apart. Uh, I would suggest making trades to fix that problem. Not to mention, its speed tiers are already crap, so it's not like you can apply pressure once you switch or something. Wall breaking 5.5. Not much wall breaking as well. Your best wall breaker is gonna be Berserker, I guess. If you have like a band, and Banded Berserker hits really hard. The problem is it's a steel stab, and steel is one of the worst offensive typings. So he gets a score of 38.5. I think that's the lowest we have so far. Everyone's getting 40, 41. So yeah, suggest making trades, Arik. But you do you if you wanna play the game on hard mode. So our next player is gonna be James, right? Yeah, James. So James, interesting team here. He actually drafted the three mons, the three starter NFE mons, which I found really cool. I found that really cool. He has Gudra, Silvally Fairy, the three mons, Drapion, Solosis. I suggest trading that away. there's so much better mons in the pool than this. Unless you're gonna meme, like do some trick room endeavor shenanigans. But yeah, there's so much more better options than that. So we give bulk 7, similar to Arik's case. He has 4 potential Eviolite mons as well. So it gets less reliable once those are knocked off. 5 for hazards. You have like a rocker here, D-spikes here, a defogger, another defogger, and a spinner, right? Sandslash gets spin. Setup and sweep. We actually give 8. Now, this might be controversial. I don't know. Maybe not. But oh yeah, actually I believe that was whose team was that? Arik. I guess his potential sweeper is also Still Valley Water. I kind of forgot that multi-attack is always stab. So you could do like SD multi-attack. Same here. We give it 8.5 because for one thing, Fairy is a really good offensive typing, one of the best, right? So once you get like an SD and fire some multi-attacks, that could OHKO a lot of stuff. Especially when the mons have lost their Eviolite already. And there's not many checks to that. And even the checks that they have can fall to like other coverage moves. So you don't even need to rely on that. Gudra can run like a curse restock set that could be hard to stop if players don't bring like phasing moves. That's pretty much it. Drapion's kinda scary with SD as well. Really fast for the format. A lot of the mons here, if you notice, they have like really poor speed tiers. So in this case, we give him speed tier of 1.5. So the 1.5, let's try to check if we can find that here. I guess I gave that because there's a potential for like drip limb once it's what do you call that? once it's unburdened, and then the 0.5 is for Combusken once it gets like its speed boost. That's basically it. Team Synergy 7.5. So yeah, it has stuff. It has stuff that can work. I think the unfortunate part of this team is the pivot. Just having one mon to pivot. Unfortunately, Marshtop doesn't get flip turn. So yeah, that kind of sucks for it. I suggest making some trades. Get more pivot mons. Trade this damn Solosis. Trade that. Like, I don't know why you drafted that. But there's definitely good options in the pool. Better options. We have here Team Wall Breaker. So for wall breaking 6.5, best options is like Specs Gudra, right? Draco and Banded Outrage. I guess like Banded Knockoff. Yeah, it's not amazing. I think the good part about that is just I guess you can have like what they call that item? The Flare Boost Driplim. That could be a thing as well. So yeah, there's some potential there. Not amazing though. 37.5. At first, I thought this team was kind of fire, but when I did the scoring for it, I was like, whoa, I didn't think it would be that bad. Yeah, because the fact that it has so little support in recovery, right? Like, there's hardly any if you look at it. I think the 0.5 is just because, you know, Solosis gets like regenerate. Oh yeah. I think that's why. Moving on, our next player is Jake. Now Jake has, dude, I've played with Jake for like 2 seasons in the PPL, and he tends to draft like kinda YOLO teams. But for this one, he actually had one of the best teams in the league, surprisingly. Like if you look at how I score things. Of course, some of the metrics here aren't really too reliable. You know, you have like defog wish for Natu, but are you really gonna use defog and wish on Natu, right? Like you get points because there's a potential use for it, but like, are you really gonna use it, right? How reliable is that? But yeah, looking at the team, we give 8.5 for the bulk. Tyrantrum, nice defensive typing. Trevenant can like stall mons with its you know, leech seed, bulk, drain punch. You have Mill Tank, which is really bulky in the physical side with reliable recovery. Alcremie, hella bulky. Setup options for both defenses. Lapras, hella bulky as well, and gets Heal Bell. So yeah, it's potentially really bulky. Hazard and removal, we have like defog here, defog here. I think Skuntank gets T-Spikes as well. I could be wrong about that. Miltank gets rocks, Ribombi gets webs. So yeah, they get 4.5 for that. Pivot, we have 2 mons here that have pivot. That's gonna be Ribombi and Natu. So yeah, like this Natu like affects the score a lot, right? But you know, how reliable is that? Are you really gonna bring this mon? So, you know, kind of take it with a grain of salt. Recovery and pivot 5, because you know you have wish here, wish roost, you have aromatherapy and wish for Alcremie. I'm not sure if it gets wish actually. Maybe just aromatherapy. You have heal bell on Miltank, heal bell on Lapras. You know, I think you have aromatherapy on Ribombi as well. So yeah, there's definitely potential there. Setup and sweep. We actually gave 9. I think that's probably the highest we've given. Because if you look at the team, DD Tyrantrum, like what is gonna be taking rock heads from that if you have like a rock boosting move? Even resisted mons could be, 2-hit KO'd after like a DD. And it's not like you have to, right? You can just go EQ. Um, Aside from that, Rebombi as well. Once you once you have like a quiver dance setup, as well as Alcremie, if you have like a mono attacking set with CM, what's that, CM Iron Defense Recover, and then a Draining Kiss, Moonblast, or what do you call that move? Sword Power. So yeah, DD Lapras as well. So you have four fairly effective sweepers. So it's all about checking which mon does well in the matchup. So we actually give, that's probably the highest we've given for setup and sweep. Speed tiers. So we have Ribombi and I think yeah, Miltank. Ribombi, Miltank. We actually could give like a 0.5 here because Lapras gets Ice Shard, but that's fine. It's not like Lapras is always designated to be physical anyway. Team Synergy 7.5. So the team can work, but I think it lacks pivot to make it really shine. The pivot mons that it has doesn't really want to pivot, right? Like Ribombi and Natu. Because yeah, Nato's probably not coming, so your only actual pivot is Ribombi. And if you're gonna be setting webs, that's not gonna be reliable anymore. So, it's not that good. It can be good, but it's not always gonna be that good. We have wall breaking 8. So the 8 that we have here, so that could be like a banded Tyrantrum, like once it hits the field, you can just smash something that's already there. We could have like, I think that's mostly it. Banded, what do you call that move? Poltergeist. Specs, Moonblast, Ribombi. So those are pretty hard hitting moves. Based off pretty respectable stats for this type of meta. So I think 8 is kind of warranted there. And that's going to be a total of 46.5, one of the highest we have. Our next one is going to be Benji. Benji the GOAT. Mr. Metronome himself. So Benji actually has, I think Benji has the highest total from what I scored. We give 9.5 for bulk. Because look at this team. What the hell is this? Right? Vaporeon or Beetle, Magmortar, Sudowoodo, Lickilicky, Shinotic. If I would suggest trading out Licky, or no, trading out Sudowoodo for like a grounded rocker, I think that would be better. But yeah, crazy bulk, and those mons also have reliable recovery. You have 4 out of 5 for rockers. That's gonna be webs for Orbital, Defog Scyther, Rock Sudowoodo, yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. So for pivot, you have 5 mons. You have flip turn, U-turn, teleport Magmortar. So that's one of those things that, are you actually gonna run that, right? And Volt Switch Magneton. Recovery for in support, we have like, I think, aromatherapy for Shinotic, Synthesis, Heal Bell Wish, uh, Roost, Recover, Heal Bellwish. So yeah, that's gonna be 4.5. Almost 5. He was actually missing 1-1. 1-1 with some form of recovery or support. Setup and Sweep. So we actually give 8. One of the higher scores we've given. Because what sets up here? Mono attacking Orbital. SD Scyther. Right? SD Sneasel. Sneasel with, what do you call that item? With Eviolite. You could definitely live ahead. Set up SD. Start crashing people's, party. Throw some triple axles here and there. Not to mention it gets stab knockoff. Knockoff is easily the best move in this format. Easily the best move. Even better than rocks, I would say. I'd rather have mons that have knockoff than have rocks but no mons with knockoff. So speed tiers, we have just 2. That's gonna be the Sneasel and the Scyther. Team Synergy 8.5. Because yeah, you have a lot of bulk with a lot of pivot with a lot of hazard control. Not to mention, potential setup options with a lot of mons. Wall breaking 7.5. That's mostly gonna be like a Spexmag Mortar Fire Blast, and the banded dual wing beat Scyther. So yeah, I think that's fair. 48.5. Amazing team by Benji. I was really surprised because Benji is known to be like the king of low tiers, as he likes to market himself. But it turns out when he plays low tier leagues, he actually picks like a very solid team, right? From what it looks like. Alright, so our next team is gonna be CC. CC, beso please. Alright, but jokes aside, we look at CC's team, and I was really surprised when I saw this team. So you know what stands out? Remember what I was talking about earlier about 3 Eviolite mons being okay? CC has like 6 from what I can see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I could say Riolu, you don't need Eviolite for this mon. You just need it to like, set up with Prankster some move, I don't know, Reflect or something like that. I'm not sure if it gets like Tailwind or something. But yeah, you could just do that and sack it off. But the other mons are very reliant on that. Doublade, not really bulky without the Eviolite. Devotion, same thing. I guess Pilo can be effective without Eviolite, but it gains so much more from Eviolite. Ivysaur 2, and Carcoal. Yeah, these mons are like knockoff fodder. They're all like defensive in nature, and setting up without Eviolite, I guess you could do like a psychic boosting item, or like just what do you call that item? A Sash Devotion with like Trick Room, and then you can have like a mon like Doublade be banded or something and attack once Devotion goes down. Something like that. You could run something like that. But yeah, the bulk itself, it looks really bulky at first glance, but once you find out that a lot of the bulk is gone, once those items get knocked off, it really falls apart. Excellent hazard control. You have webs, defog, rocks, spikes, and spin. 0 pivot. None of the mons pivot. That's amazing. I actually thought Devotion gets teleport, but I have a Reuni in another league now, and yeah, it doesn't get teleport. So yeah, no pivot at all. Recovery and support, we give 3.5. So you know, you have Sylveon, Wish Heal Bell. You have Altaria with Roost. Unfortunately, Ivysaur doesn't get aromatherapy. So I think that's basically it. Yeah, Devotion gets recovery. Recover. So yeah. Setup and sweep, 6.5. So the setup mons here, TD Altaria, definitely. I can see that. That could work. SD Doublade. CM Sylveon. We kind of give 6.5 because, you know, it's not that reliable. His best setup mon is definitely the Altaria, especially in Gen 8 where it got dual wing beat. So it finally gets a high base damage stab, but you know, it's not really that strong. And with the what do you call this? With the accuracy of the move, it's not gonna hit 100%. So there's that. So as much as I guess you could do like, I was gonna give it something lower, maybe just 6 or 5.5, but then I remembered that you could set up like Trick Room into like a banded Araquanid, and that could sweep reliably if, you know, the opponent doesn't bring, you know, like water resist mons that's bulky or protect to stall out the turns. So yeah, that could happen. You know, people don't really run protect. So I can see that. That's fair. Speed tier, we only have 0.5. That's actually gonna be Piloswine's Eye Shard. That's all we can give for that. I guess you could say Sylveon's, you know, pixelated quick attack, but you know, let's be realistic here. Team Synergy 5.5. So the it has potential, right? But once the opponent, you know, gets a setup, this team really struggles to like prevent a sweep from what it looks like. If a mon has, you know, certain moves, then it's gonna be hard for her team to deal with that. And the synergy itself, I think the thing that really hurts it is the 6 Eviolite mons. I suggest making some trades for that. Maybe keep Duotion, Piloswine, and Carcol. Trade the Ivysaur and the Riolu. I think I would suggest something like that. That could work. Wall breaking 7. So the wall breaking is basically like a Specs Sylveon. Either Hyper Voice or Hyper Beam. Araquanid, you know, banded liquidation. That's mostly it. Those are like the reliable wall breakers you have here. So yeah, our next team, like second to the last actually, is Eddie. Let's go, Eddie. Alright, so his bulk is 7. We have Wigglytuff, pretty bulky. Aggron, bulky mon, but 4 times weak typings. I guess Kingdra is probably his best mon, because, you know, fire, water dragon, right? If the opponent doesn't have like fairy coverage, then this one can really stick around and, you know, just set up and win. Dusclops, very bulky mon, even though it doesn't have reliable recovery. The Pain Split with its low HP stat can really help it stick around. Torracat could be bulky with the combination of Intimidate and Eviolite. So yeah. We have 3 for hazard control. That's basically Rocks Aggron, Defog on Rotom, and Spin on Mime. We have 4 points for pivot. That's gonna be flip turn Kingdra, U-turn Lipard. What do you call that move? I guess U-turn on Torracat and parting shot. Volt switch on Rotom. We have 3.5 for recovery. That's gonna be Wish Hill Bell on Wigglytuff. Is that it? I have a feeling there's more. 3.5. I think we gave points for like the pain split of Dusclops, because it is very significant. Having an HP of just 10, that could be significant. So yeah, I think that's what we did there. Or maybe the Lipard gets Wish as well, or the Mine, something like that. I'm sure there was a reason why I gave that. Setup and sweep 7.5. So your best setup mon, 100% Kingdra, right? You could run DD, you could run just like a Swift Swim spec set if you have like a Rain setter there. You could set Rain with Lipard. I think it gets Rain Dance. So Prankster Rain Dance there, sack the Lipard. Kingdra comes in, Spec Surf just kills everything. Nothing wants to switch into that unless you're like a water absorb mon. Aside from that, is there anything else? Oh yeah, something I noticed, only one player drafted Rotom. There's actually Rotom Ghost, right? The vanilla one, and Rotom Mo in the pool. So people forget Rotom gets Nasty Plot. And with the base 86 speed, that's really fast for this meta. You could just spam like, Thunderbolts or Discharges that's +2, and that's gonna kill a lot of mons. So that's fairly reliable in my opinion. We have speed tiers 2, so that's gonna be the Lipard and the Mime. Mime is actually 100 speed in this for the Galar farm. And Team Synergy 7 could have been higher if he had like an actual like designated rain setter, but I don't know, maybe Lipard is his rain setter. But yeah, it does well enough. I would say it does well enough because hazard control is there, pivot mons, right? The typing, you have a steel type, dragon type. No fairy type though. Oh no, Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff's the fairy. But yeah, if Wigglytuff had actually for a lot of mons, if they had Baton Pass legal, that would have been really good for them. Like if we look at CC's team back here, if Sylveon had access to Baton Pass and just can, use it as a pivot, like Wish, and then, pass the Wish to Altaria, because Altaria is like her best sweeper, heal it up to full, because, Sylveon has a shit ton of HP. That team could go from like 34.5 to like a 30, 38 or 39. I could like just increase the synergy there, as well as the pivot for one thing. So yeah, that could work. That could work if they had access, but unfortunately, that's not the case. Hazard removal. We have here Spin from Mime, Defog. We have Rocks here. So yeah, that's 3, I guess. Pivot for mons. We have Kingdra Flip Turn. We have U-turn here. U-turn slash, they call that move, parting shot, Toracat, and Vault Switch, Rotom. Recovery and pivot, we give 3.5. That's gonna be Wish, Heal Bell, and I forgot what else was there. Maybe someone else gets aromatherapy here. Yeah, I don't remember, but I'm sure someone gets something, something like that, some form of recovery. Maybe mine gets like recover or something. Oh yeah, I think we counted Pain Split for Dusclops because because its HP stat is so low that you could like justify it being a reliable recovery, because more often than not you're gonna heal a shit ton of HP, so it's gonna stick around longer. Setup sweep, we have 7.5, pretty fair. That's mostly gonna come from Kingdra, either DD or mostly DD. You could do like an agility, what do you call that item? An agility, I don't remember right now. Focus energy set. So you have the speed with scope lens, and then you can just spam Draco because it doesn't matter, it will crit. 100% crit with the scope lens, or you could just set rain, set up one turn of focus energy and do the same thing. Pretty hard to stop in this format. I noticed nobody drafted or there are some unaware ones in the pool, nobody drafted them, so it is what it is. Let's see, I think that's basically it for setup and sweep. Rotom is very interesting. There's 3 Rotoms in the pool. Only Rotom Frost was drafted. There's the Ghost one and the Rotom Mow. Rotom Mow is kind of tiered high, so I think that's what deterred people from drafting it. There's better options. But people forget Rotom gets Nasty Plot this gen. So in this format, where the typical speed tiers is around 70, having a speed tier of 86 is pretty reliable. And it's not like your mon is gonna get O code anyway. Rotom has very nice defensive stats, even though the HP is kinda shit. But yeah, you could make that work. It's somewhat reliable. So I would say Kingdra is very reliable. Rotom is somewhat reliable. So you could justify 7.5 for that. Speed tier, we have Lipard, and then Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime is base 100 for the Galar form. Team synergy, 7 out of 10. So the team has potential, with all the pivots here. With all the pivots, we kind of want to have mons that set up Rain, because I think Rain is going to be where this team shines. Because if you have Rain, then Rotom can suddenly start throwing Thunders instead. Yeah, probably that would be the best strat for this team. Set up rocks, pivot with Lipard, if they're setting up, throw some foul plays, stuff like that. For wall breaking, we just give it a 6. That's basically mostly Kingdra as well. Specs Draco, Banded Outrage. You're probably not gonna band Outrage if they have like a fairy type, because Kingdra is your most important mon. And if you go Outrage, then they're just gonna revenge it with Moonblast and GG. It's gonna be hard for this team to win without Kingdra, from what it looks like. And I guess you could run like a banded head smash Aggron, but it's not that realistic, because you're probably gonna be setting up rocks with this mon most of the time. If you want to make trades, Eddie, I suggest getting a secondary rocker, possibly trading the Hunter. I don't see it to be particularly good for this team. So yeah, you could get like a Or even just trade Aggron for a ground type so that, you have an electric immunity. Because electric kind of does well. Your only electric resist is the Rotom. And electric is a very spammable move. If you have like a electric terrain with rising voltage, all of these are gonna die. Except the Rotom. Rotom could, take a hit after rocks. But the rest, they're all gonna die. Alright. So yeah, with that, you get 40 out of 60. Pretty standard score. Most of the teams, get around that figure. Our last team's gonna be Jesse the Goat. Alright, so Jesse actually got one of the highest scores here. So let's check out the team. We have 7.5 for bulk. Now if we look at the team, Arcanine, pretty bulky mon. I actually use Arcanine when I'm doing like calc testing. Like Arcanine is a good measure of if a move is strong, because Arcanine's like bulkier than the typical, it's bulkier than, let's say, 60 to 70% of the other mons in the in the pool. So if you're doing really good damage to Arcanine, chances are you're gonna be doing the same to everything else. So really bulky mon, or pretty bulky, gets Intimidate, so that helps with the bulk. Gets reliable recovery as well. Jolteon, not really. Rapidash, not really. Glaceon, low HP, high defenses, so that's some bulk, right? Silvally, good stats all around. Aeron, nothing. Roselia with Eviolite, really bulky. Articuno G, high stats, decent defensive typing. Akomo with Eviolite, probably as bulky as Como, which is really bulky, so that's a really good sign. So despite having mons that are low HP like Aeron, Jolteon, and Roselia could be vulnerable after a knockoff, 75 seems a fair amount of bulk for that. Hazards, 4 out of 5, so we have Defog here, Spikes, T-Spikes, Defog here, and yeah, that's about it. So pivot, we have Teleport Arcanine, Volt Switch, Jolteon. We have U-Turn or Parting Shot, U-Turn for Articuno. That's 4. Recovery and Support. We have Recover for Articuno, Synthesis, Aromatherapy, Roselia. We got... what else do we have? We have Healing Wish. Healing Wish Rapidash, as well as Morning Sun Arcanine. So yeah, that's definitely gonna be 5. Setup and Sweep, 8.5. So that's one of the higher, definitely on the high side for this stat. Potential sweepers, we have a Work Up Jolteon with like Magnet, or even just Magnet Jolteon with Electric Terrain and Rising Voltage. We have SD Rapidash. Dude, I played Rapidash in like my 3rd league, where my opponent had like a Dragapult in his team, and I was like, why don't I give a shit about Dragapult? But the Rapidash is the one that I kind of fear, because its coverage move is really deep, a deep move pool. So the set that's threatening here is definitely SD. SD Rapidash with the move pool will OHKO like almost anything in this tier, in this type of format. You have a Vaporeon, Wild Charge, you're dead. You have something else, so Play Rough, you're dead. You have a Steel type, Thumping Tantrum or something, ground type, you know. It has all of those. Really good coverage. What else? We have SD, what do you call that move? SD multi-attacks, Silvally one of the better offensive typings. You have CM Articuno. So, Rapidash is really good as a setup sweeper. And then you have like supporting characters, Jolteon, Silvally, and Articuno that's not that good but can contribute to the team. So 8.5 is like valid there. Speed tier, we have 2.5. That's gonna be the Rapidash and the Jolteon. We actually give 0.5 because the Arcanine gets extreme speed. So that matters. You know, it's still base 80, right? Team Synergy, 8.5. So the team really does well with the amount of, you know, same thing as the other teams that get high scores. They tend to have the same thing. They have good hazard control. They have reliable pivot, recovery and support, right? Mons that have these three things tend to have a high score for Team Synergy. Because if you look at it, they also cover each other's weaknesses, right? I guess you kind of want to have like a what do you call that? I guess Aaron is like the poison immunity for Rapidash, you know. Aaron is saving your ass, something like that. But yeah, I guess Como, I think fighting resists poison, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not. But yeah, it covers it well. Wall breaking 7.5. So your wall breaker is gonna be, you know, Banded, Flare Blitz, Specs, Thunder, Specs, Blizzard, Specs, Psychic, stuff like that. It's none of them are amazing, but there's enough of it. Like there's 4 months, so 7.5 is like justified there. So yeah, that's basically it. And with that, he gets 47.5, the second highest, and it's revealed that Benji got the highest score. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this power rankings. I probably won't do another one with the trades made because, you know, people might want me to do another rankings with later trades and it's very time consuming. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, learned something about your sets, maybe even took my advice to making some of those trades, improve your team. And that's gonna be it for now. If you guys like the content, like, share, and subscribe, support your boy, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers.